Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Hey everyone, happy Thursday night, happy almost end of August here. You are watching the Ghost Biker Garage, and I am your host, the Ghost Biker. Welcome back. We had a great show last week, had a busy week last week, and I'm just so excited to be here, so excited to be chatting with you all. And I really appreciate you all spending the time with me tonight. It really does mean a lot whenever you choose to spend this hour with us. So I can't thank you enough. Hopefully, if you watched last week, you saw that I had Miss Mary Lynn Bass as well as Michael Gagliano from the new streaming beacon show. I hope I said that right. New streaming beacon network show, Para with a Normal. We talked to them about their new and exciting show and about the network, and just had a good, fun conversation. So, I know a lot of you watched and chimed in with your questions and stuff. So if you did miss that episode, I hope you will go back and check that out. We are quickly approaching the Ghost Biker Exploration Season 7, and I can't tell you how excited I am about that. We're going to start premiering and promoting that here very, very soon. And so, the countdown is on for that. We are just a little over a month away. And let me kind of adjust this lighting here. I feel like everything is a little bit hot over here on the lighting here. Yeah, that's better. All right. So just want to say hello to the folks over here in the chat room. Thank you again for spending the time with me tonight. Hello, Miss Sonia Thompson. I hope you're doing well tonight. Susan Purcell, saw you this past weekend, which we'll talk just a little bit about here in a few minutes. Thank you so much for joining us there in Octagon Hall and helping me out. Miss Nancy Weems, I hope you're having a good evening. Hello to Miss Jolly Goins. Hope you're doing well. Ronnie Anderson with Bedford Paranormal. Hey there. And of course, Miss Janet Alms. It's always good to see you. Miss Addie. I hope you're doing well there in Southeast Tennessee. And Mr. Daryl Paulette coming in there from Clover Hill Village. Hope things are going well. Seen where you all have had some exciting things going on up at Clover Hill there in Appomattox, Virginia. If folks haven't seen that, definitely need to go check that place out, because that place is doing some really cool things for the history of the area and getting more people out there to learn about the village itself. Okay, so kind of talking just a little bit about some cool things that happened this past week. We've been very, very busy at the jail and at Historic Rugby. And then, of course, with Ghost Biker. I know on Saturday we did two different events in one day, which was pretty wild, being over at Historic Rugby during the morning for their British Festival and car show. It was all British cars. It was a lot of fun. British cars, food, and just some really great booths that were set up there. They were raising money there at the Village of Historic Rugby to rebuild the cafe, which burned a few years ago. And so they're raising money. They've got the foundation and the outside, the shell of the building built. And hopefully soon, probably by the first part of next year, they'll have their restaurant open. But we were there representing Historic Rugby After Dark Tours and Investigations. I do my tour in morning attire, and so dressed up, went out there, spent the morning actually promoting Historic Rugby After Dark. I know some of you folks actually stopped by the booth, said hello. Just trying to get the word out that we're doing this every single week, Friday through Sunday night. We've got 2 different tours, as well as guided ghost hunts and paranormal investigations. Just a few pictures from the village itself and from the event. A bunch of little MG cars. It was so cute, and just so many great cars there at the car show. They had lots of great food there. I know the Amish community made the big donuts there and had donated that. And so it was by donation only. And so like I said, the money goes to the restaurant there. And so just kind of scrolling through a few of the pictures. I did have to leave just a little bit early. And this is just one little section of the booth. There was booths on over at the side. I wasn't able to take any photos over there of the car show because I was real busy at my booth. And then after about 1 o'clock, ended up changing out and heading up to the beautiful and legendary Octagon Hall. And that was so much fun. I was able to be a part of an event that Paranormal Adventures Events was putting on. We've had TJ as well as Justin and JB Coates on the show in the past. They were doing an event there. I mean, if you've not been to Octagon Hall, this place is just amazing, full of all kinds of supernatural activity, everything from paranormal to cryptids to UFOs. I mean, this place has got lots of activity. So drove up to Franklin, Kentucky, and ended up doing the event there with them, and then doing the investigation. We had a full house that night. It was I think there was like 13 investigators that we had. I love these small events like this because you're really able to get in and spend a lot of time investigating, and really it's just a more intimate investigation. So I love the small events. And like I said, JB Coates, it was an honor to be in the investigate or be one of the guests with her, and chat with her. Always great catching up with her and TJ. But it was a really good event made for a very, very long day. We did have a lot of activity there, especially in the hospital. Whoops, forgot one picture here. Got to definitely show Susan. She came up and she helped me with my booth. Whoops, let's see here. I thought I had that on my screen here. Whoops, sorry about that, y'all. Definitely got to mention Susan. She drove up, helped me out with my booth, and helped me out with my portion of the investigation. So thank you, Susan, for making the long trip and hanging out and supporting Ghost Biker. I just can't thank you enough for your friendship. But we had a great session in the hospital room there at Octagon Hall. We found that we were talking to a soldier that was there who had had his arm amputated. Some very, very intelligent responses that we had. There was 4 of us ladies there in the hospital room, played Amazing Grace. I mean, they were just very, very lively and very ready to talk to us. So it was a great night. So again, thank you to everyone who allowed us to be part of this event, and for the folks that came out. So thank you all so much. So just want to make sure I'm not missing anything over here in the comments. If you guys have any questions at all for myself or my guest tonight, please make sure to put those in all caps so that we don't miss them as we're going through and having our conversation. So if you are looking for something fun to do this weekend, we do have a few tickets still available for our tours this weekend. We're kind of booked up. On Saturday night, we've got 2 investigations, one at the jail, one at Historic Rugby. But tomorrow night, we do still have a few tickets available for the Downtown Village Lantern Tour at Historic Rugby. You can find that information if you go on to the Historic Rugby After Dark Facebook page, or if you go to historyhighwayshaunts.com, you can book your tickets. We've got a few of those left. Chris will be leading that tour. And then we've got 2 tours tomorrow night at the historic Scott County Jail. Our first one sold out, which starts at 8:30. And it's a flashlight tour of the jail where we cover the history, the haunts, and we play photo, video, and audio evidence as you go throughout the jail itself. First tour is sold out, so we had to open a second tour at 10:15 tomorrow night. That one is halfway sold out, so I believe we've still got 6 tickets left for that. So if you are looking for something fun to do and you're in the area, you can either come tour rugby or catch me on the late side and visit the historic Scott County Jail. I think we also still have a few tickets left for Sunday. But yeah, we do. I'm looking at this here. We do still have some tickets for both historic rugby and the jail for Sunday night. If you want to wrap up the weekend by doing something fun and a little different, and you can find all that information on the website that we have there on the page. If you are looking to get your last minute investigations in, we still do have a few dates available for September and October. We're going to be adding an extra hour to all investigations there during the month of September for Spooktember is what we're calling it. But and that will be for both rugby and the jail. So if you're interested in getting those dates, those last minute dates that we have, go onto the website, get those booked because they are booking up pretty quick. Okay. Now, all of that being said, as I notice my cat is trying to kill itself behind me on the stair railing. Oh my gosh. That's like a 13-foot drop there. So hopefully we don't see a mass casualty here while we're on the air. That's making me kind of nervous looking at that. Hey, get down from there. I'm so sorry about that. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and bring on tonight's guest. I've been so excited. I reached out to him. It's probably been about a month, a little over a month now, and he was gracious enough to open up some time to come on the show. So I'm excited to talk to him. He's also brought some different EVPs that we're going to be listening to and sharing throughout the show. So if you will, please help me in welcoming Mr. Marty Seibel. Hey, Marty.
Hi, Miranda. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Sorry about the distraction behind me.
Oh, no problem. And hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and talk with you and everyone else.
Yes. So this is exciting. You're a very busy guy, especially around this time of year.
I am.
So why don't you go ahead and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with your tours and your paranormal team.
Okay. Well, I've been a paranormal investigator for 25 years now, and I run a group here in Staunton, Virginia called Black Raven Paranormal. I also own and operate a walking ghost tour here in Staunton, the Ghost of Staunton. And we've been around since 2008. We're actually celebrating our 17th season. I've always had an interest in paranormal things that haunt. As a kid growing up, I used to watch Dark Shadows, and then into the 90s and watching shows like Unsolved Mysteries. And I don't know if you remember the show Sightings with Tim White.
Yes.
Watched all that stuff, and just really a big passion for it. I enjoy history very much, particularly Civil War history. And here we are 25 years later. I'm an old man, and I feel it too. I do stay very busy. And I've tried to jump in here some, but I work a second shift schedule. I actually work for McKee Foods, and we produce Little Debbie snack cakes. I work a second shift schedule Monday through Thursday. So I usually get home here about 1 in the morning. Works out great for the weekend and, the paranormal investigating and all that I do with the ghost tours. But I am kind of, and my girlfriend, Lisa, she jokes around with me now about being like a creature of the night. Because literally I'm wired to be up till about 4 or 5 in the morning, sleep till noon, get up, repeat, and here I am.
I understand. I had have a creative job, and when I was in corporate, I did, and so I used to love any opportunity that I had to work at night because I feel like I'm the most creative at night. So now that this is my job with running the museum and doing the night tours and stuff, I absolutely love that because I feel like I'm really in my element.
I feel the same like you do. Some of the best thoughts or ideas I'll come up with, it'll be here late at night, and something will just strike me, whether it's with the tours or with the group or just something in general I want to share. I stay busy.
Now, do you do the tours year round, or do you just primarily do them on special events and during the fall?
Actually, we're pretty much right now, we're year round. It's not every weekend. I mean, like January and February, we might do a tour or two a month there. We start getting into spring, it just elevates. And then when we get into August, September, October, it's every weekend. And I know in October, it's every weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're talking 5 or 6 tours a night. We have 4 different routes now that we run.
Okay. So can you, oh, no, go ahead.
It's really grown so much, like I said, in 17 years. And I don't really, because of the time and just everything consumed with the other parts of the business. And what we do is when we first started, I was a tour guide. It was just me and 2 other people. I don't have an opportunity to do that anymore at all. I have 9 guides that are under me. I take care of everything
Oh,
from the websites for Black Raven Paranormal, the Ghost of Staunton. I manage our social media pages, our YouTube channel, BitChute, all that stuff. And as you know, that can be very time consuming. I do all our promotional videos, all that stuff. And I literally, it's like a 24/7. Of course, anytime you own your own business and stuff, uh, even if it's a side business, it's a different game.
it really is, and I mean, it's your baby,
It
and
is. It is.
so, you
You got
you
my website
find that
up.
yeah, it's I mean, I literally by the time I'm done with all this stuff, I really do feel like I've birthed and brought this to life, and then you just wanna you keep at it because you wanna do the best you can
Yep.
for your product, and it really shows to have a reputation of being around for 17 years on a ghost walk. I mean,
Sure.
that's great longevity.
It is. It is. Thank you. And it is. It's an accomplishment I'm very proud of. It was because when we first started this, really, actually, to be honest with you, the very first year, it was on a trial basis. And we just
Mhm.
did it for the month of October. And it did so well from that point on. Then we would do like from April to Halloween. And that went on for several years. And now in the last 5 years, we've actually, like I said, it's pretty much year round. I've had people call me Christmas Eve on the ghost tour,
Yes.
literally, a
Yes.
private tour or something. And so it does keep you busy. There's been situations I've been at Myrtle Beach, getting ready to get in the water. Somebody will call a private tour, and I set all that up. But I love it because it is my baby, and
Yeah. Well, no,
it's
that's wonderful, and we've got a lot of folks here saying that's saying real nice things about you that knows you. So you're good from
well,
Michael,
well. Thank
is
you. Yeah,
is
I
on
know
here.
Michael. Yeah, me and
Yep.
Michael didn't go way back. Michael's a great guy and a wonderful investigator.
Yes, he is. And Ronnie is he's located there in well, his team is Bedford Paranormal,
Yep,
but
I'm familiar with Bedford.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
and then, of course, we've got Carl here that's, got a lot of folks from the, Virginia and West Virginia area that's tuning in tonight. Hello, Matt. Thank you so much for tuning in.
It's a
Um,
pleasure to see everyone.
yeah, so let's kinda talk just a little bit
Mhm.
about, Staunton, Virginia,
Sure.
and, your ghost walk itself. So, as I guess like most of Virginia, Staunton has some pretty amazing stories that surrounded it, or
It
pretty
does.
haunting stories.
It does. It's always had a really deep history involved with the Civil War. And when I first started in this field, like I say, I was just a paranormal investigator, enjoying that. And my girlfriend Lisa, we've been together 22 years now. And she would say,
Mhm.
because one of the things we do when we go on vacation or we go to different places, any place we go, we want to do a ghost tour, ghost walk, or stay
Yes.
on at B&B. We're doing that for years. And so, you know, she would be after me. She said, "Why don't you create a ghost tour here? We don't have one, and people would love it." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, Lisa. I don't think I got time. I don't have time." And then I just got to thinking about it because I do love history. I love to research. I love talking with people in town. And I went, "Yeah, I think I'm going to do it." And then she tells me, "No, you can't do it. You don't have the personality." I'm like, "You're too shy. You're too laid back. You can't do it." I'll show you, Lisa. I'll show you. And so, yeah, here we are. But when we did start in 2008. I met with a lot of people here, met the Historical Society, um,
Mhm.
researched the stories and the history, particularly the Civil War, and some of the ghost stories. Some are already out there somewhat, and I was able to evolve with them. Others, they were the first time. Whether we found something was going on, we'd interview people, we'd get their own personal paranormal experiences, ghostly experiences, put that together with the history. And we have 2 tours that are really prominent that we run consistently. One is our haunted history tour. It's strictly the history of Staunton, the history of the stops, people's own personal paranormal experiences. Then the other tour we offer that's more, well, it's very popular as well. It's what we call our Dark Tales and Haunts of the Queen City. And this is
Ah,
kind of a combination. It's a combination of ghost stories, history, mystery, legend, lore. It's got a little bit of everything, a little bit darker side of town. That's where we get into some of the stuff about Western State Lunatic Asylum and their eugenics program here, just to give you an example. Um,
okay.
but it's as far as like with research into history, the town does have a strong connection with the Civil War. And of course, during the Civil War, Staunton here, having the Virginia Central Railroad was actually a direct link to Richmond, Virginia. So we actually
Okay.
had a lot of activity come through here during the war, and Staunton was an objective of the Union Army very early in the war, and it didn't fall until actually 1864. We had
Wow.
troops that would come through here, immobilize, train. We had supplies that were manufactured here, uniforms, shoes, boots. Of course, like food, supplies come through here. They would bring POWs through here and they would march them through town. We had dead and wounded come through here. We had 2 hospitals offhand. One was not the Virginia Hotel, the American Hotel, right here at
Okay.
which served as a hospital, and then VSDB, Virginia School for Deaf and Blind. And that was a major general hospital here in town. After major battles like Gettysburg, Antietam, this town would actually be overrun with Confederate soldiers. And at the time of the war, when it started, we had about a population of about 4,000 here. But after those battles, we'd have as many as 10,000 soldiers here in town.
Wow.
At Virginia School for Deaf and Blind, after the Battle of Gettysburg, they got up to about a little over 9,000 soldiers in there in the hospital at that time. So it was a constant activity in and out of the town. We had famous generals through here, such as Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Jubal Early, and we had even Grant spent some time here briefly after the war. General Grant, Ulysses S. Grant. But yeah, a lot of activity with that. And of course, I think for me personally, one of the very first haunted places I stayed, because I do love Civil War history, was Gettysburg. I'm a real big fan of Gettysburg. Yeah. And the first place I had stayed was at the Cashtown Inn, just outside of Cashtown. Love it. Great area. One of the things that, and there's always a story I like to tell, because I tell it on our ghost tours when I get a chance to introduce the guides, and I'll come down and ham it up a little bit. But there is one personal experience that kind of really resonated with me, that kind of really started the paranormal group, as well as the ghost tours a short time later. I would basically, a lot of the things you see on the Travel Channel, the History Channel, all these really cool places, I'd sit there and I'd tell myself, I don't want to go there and do that. And I did for a short time. Like I said, first time I went to Cashtown. Once Lisa moved down here, I would tell her we're going to go there and do that. And so literally we still do, even to this day, the haunted B&B thing and off and everything. But the very first time I had taken her anywhere, we went to Gettysburg. We did the Farnsworth House.
Oh, yes.
I'm a big fan of the Farnsworth House. I've actually been there 10 times now. But we had watched something on television. We knew it was a Civil War hospital during and after the battle, and with Confederate soldiers, and also the theory that the attic was used as a Confederate sniper post, and that's where the shot was fired. Many believe that killed the only civilian there, Jenny Wade. So we were excited. I said, Lisa, why don't we go up there and do a weekend stay? I said, check in on Friday, we'll leave Sunday. So she was down with it. She said, yeah, only 3-hour trip. Let's go. So we go up there, and we check in, and we stay in a room called the Catherine Sweeney room. And the first night, as normal procedure with Lisa and myself, by 10 or 10:30, she's asleep, and she's just snoring away, and I mean loud. And I'm like, oh, God. Anyways, I'm a creature. Like I said, I'm a creature of the night. I'm playing on my phone. I'm playing on my computer. I'm taking something apart. I'm putting something together. I'm up to about 3:30 in the morning. And finally, I crawl in bed. I turn the light out, turn the lamp off, and I just start to drift off to sleep. The bed is so soft and it's warm, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. And the next thing I know, suddenly she just wakes up. She's screaming her head off. She's raking her nails up my arm, and I'm literally off the bed about this high. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? She said there was a woman in our room, and I just. And she's screaming on for like a full minute, a minute and a half. I'm like, listen, you gotta be quiet. You're going to wake up everybody in this house. We're going to get thrown out of here. So calm down. Tell me what happened. I want in order. And I get her to settle down. And she's telling me, she's swearing there's a woman in the room. And I'm like, all right, tell me what you see. So she said she's lying there and she's facing me. She's got her back to the wall to the fireplace. And she said she felt something tap her up on the shoulder. And she didn't pay any mind. And then a few minutes later, it's a little nudge on the bottom of the shoulder blade. Still didn't pay any mind. A few minutes after that, it was a push on her hip, and she said she was annoyed. She was pissed off, and as she put it, I know what she's thinking. Marty doesn't have anything better to do at 3 a.m. But anyway, she rolled over, and as she rolled over, she said, she looked up, and she said, standing directly over top of the bed, looking down on her, was a woman in Victorian clothing. Her hair was up in a bun. She said she looked very sad. She could describe the design on her blouse and everything. She said she was like a sepia tone. The sepia color from the old time, semi-transparent. She said she was close enough to her. She could have taken and put her arm right through her. But the thing that really freaked Lisa out was she said they locked eyes. She screamed. She disappeared. And bam, that's where I come in. So I'm listening to this and I'm like, wow, it's quite a story, Lisa. Our first haunted excursion out, and I'm trying to, because I do kind of like to rationally at least try to process things. And
Yeah.
so I'm telling her, so I just think, you're excited about it. Our first paranormal excursion out, you're excited. I'm excited. You want it. God knows I want it. I said, why don't we leave the bathroom light on? And when we go down for breakfast in the morning, we'll tell the staff and see what they say. So she was fine with that. She said, good. Okay. I kid you not. It's not even 10 minutes later. She's out cold, snoring away again, louder than the first time. And I'm like, stop. Because I was excited. I really didn't share this with her, but I'm like, what if, So I had some video cameras that I'd packed. And so I'm bringing a couple video cameras out. I got one on the bed. I got one on the fireplace, one over in the closet, a couple audio recorders out. And I'm thinking, oh, come on back. Let's get this on video or photograph or an EVP and audio.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm basically saying, yeah, come on back. Don't worry about Lisa. She'll be fine. Just come on back. And, it was pretty much an uneventful night. The rest of the night, there was no more screaming out of Lisa. And the only thing we really captured on video was her elbowing me in the head, snoring, and me cussing her all night long. And I wasted 6 hours watching that as soon as I got home. So we get up Saturday morning, we get up for breakfast and we tell the staff, and they said, we told her what she'd witnessed. And they said, oh, that was Nan. And we were like, well, who the hell is Nan? And they said, well, she was a midwife and there was a stillborn baby lost in the room in the 1870s.
Oh, wow.
And that she interacts with a lot of women. They said, sometimes she'll sit on the end of your bed. And we were like, wow. We were like, that wasn't on a television show. We were, soldiers, Confederate soldiers. But okay, that's cool to know. So we go into Saturday night, and it's almost a repeat of Friday. She's out cold again, 10:30 and snoring away. And me, I've done had a little time to game plan now, thinking, last night here, let's try it. And, I'm repositioning cameras, brought an extra one out, another audio recorder. I'm like, oh, come on back. Let's get something, a piece of evidence or something. Don't worry about Lisa. She'll be fine. So again, it was a pretty uneventful night. The only thing we captured on video was her elbowing me in the head, snoring at me, cussing her all night long. And I wasted another 6 hours watching her when I got home. So that's 12 hours now, you owe me, Lisa. But anyways, we get up Sunday morning, we get out for breakfast. And I said, Lisa, how did you sleep? She said, well, I slept pretty good. She said, but the tapping, it came back. I said, really? I said, for how long? And she said, well, it went on off and on for about 10 minutes. And I went like, 10 minutes? Why didn't you wake me up? I don't have any video or any, I don't have any. She said, I'm going to be honest with you. She said, I was afraid. So she said, I basically just froze up, wouldn't open my eyes. And she said, after a while, it went away. So after that experience, when we got home, for the longest time, we were back and forth of whether or not this was actually a real personal experience, or if she just had a bad dream. But I'm here to tell you that actually happened 20 years ago, this past August the 4th. We documented the date. It happened August the 4th, 2004. So it and it has stayed with her. If she were sitting right here, she'd tell it to you just like it happened last night, literally. I've done some study here in the past, and I can show a photograph up here of what actually a photograph of the woman we believe Lisa saw in the room. She says she's witnessed her in the room, and I will show you this.
Okay.
I don't know whether or not this is Dan. We had emailed the Farnsworth House. We never heard back from them. But here's a photograph of the woman Lisa claims she witnessed. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Oh, wow.
And I told her, I said, look, I'm going to cut you a break, Lisa, because if I had witnessed this, her in the dark room off the bed, I probably would have yelled too. But Lisa says that's her. And she said, oh, she looks so sad, so sad. And I'm like, she don't really look real happy right there. But anyways, it's interesting. And, so we do think potentially there was something with it. Now, when I first formed a group, Black Raven Paranormal, back in 2005, Lisa was a part of the group, and she would go out and investigate with us. She'd have some things happen, even though she was somewhat skeptical, she would have things happen. And so I would joke around that we'd use her for ghost bait at times, just joking around. And, but eventually she dropped out of the group, and she's not a night person, as you can tell. And so she tells me, even to this day, you go run along, play with your little friends, have as much fun as you want to. Don't bring anybody home with you, and don't play with the equipment in the house. And I was like, yeah, sure, okay.
So I take it she's a believer.
She is now, yes. And every now and then something will happen here to spook her a little bit. And so I'm the first to find out, because she comes over and hits me on the back of the head with like a newspaper magazine. I'm like, ow, it hurts. Let's get thin up there, Lisa. It's a red mark. But Yeah. Now I will tell you, and this is of course after she departed the paranormal group, I've taken groups back to the Farnsworth house, and we've rented the
Mm-hmm.
whole main house and investigated it from the basement all the way up to the attic where the
Mm-hmm.
sniper place was. And we've come out with some really good audio of what we believe to be soldiers, children, and women. But after each investigation, we will all pick a room and go back and sleep and try to get as much
Mm-hmm.
rest before we hit the road and come home. Both occasions we were up there, I went back to the Catherine Sweeney room, slept in there all alone. And I got to be honest with you, I never slept better. I mean, the best night of sleep, no snoring, no elbow on the head, and it was pretty peaceful. I always find, at least my opinion, when things happen, it's when you least expect it,
That's
generally.
right.
And, it's probably pretty easy to miss something. I'm sure I have. But, anyways, that kind of set the stage for the paranormal group to really grow, as well as the ghost tours, because the ghost tours were 4 years later, which I started here. And here we are. But I always like to share it. I share that story a lot on our ghost tours when I get the group started and everything and show them the photograph. And yeah, so we do believe it was something to it.
I love that. I love that. And you're right. It's such a natural progression, to
It is.
go and do that and to be able to not only take those experiences that you've done with the paranormal, but then
Mhm.
to how cool to be able to start a walk, to be able to share these experiences with other
Yeah,
people and
it,
really
it,
kind
it
of,
is. It is cool. And
yeah.
one of the things with it in particular is Lisa and I, like I said, we've been together 22 years, and that's the only night that anything ever has happened like that where she woke up screaming her head off, just going crazy. That one night, August the 4th,
Wow.
2004. So
Memorable night, of
it
course.
is. So I mean, yeah, I think there was something to it. And I've been back. Like I said, we've stayed there several times. And
Yeah.
actually, some of the EVPs, or one of the EVPs I have for you to play later is from.
Yeah, I've got some different ones from there to play. Do you
Mhm.
use the thermal? Bob mentions here, he says next time you go back to the Farnsworth, he said,
Mhm.
try a thermal camera if you have one. He
I do
said they
have one
had really
now.
good
I
luck
do have
there.
one now, and yeah, we do use it. I would love to use it, and I probably will. It's a really good chance we will go back to the Farnsworth house, because, like I said, it's some. You just have some of your favorites and stuff. Think whether it resonates with the paranormal activity, or for me, it's more history, and just
Yeah.
connecting with the history, and we all have different things that appeal to us. But yeah.
And that was actually going to be my next question, because we all have different reasons why we get into the paranormal, whether it be
Mhm.
some people it's just even just for a jump scare or for just the thrill of doing the paranormal,
Sure.
others looking for those scientific answers, others to be close to history.
Mhm.
And what would you say is your reason for getting into the paranormal like that?
I'd say for me, really, a lot of it revolves with the history and being able to connect with it, to experience it. I love working with the team as well. And I remember when I first started, there was a little disappointment when you didn't get any evidence or data,
Yeah.
but I understand that's the way it works, and I don't expect it. For me, it's just as much now about enjoying the history, enjoying our team, and of course the evidence and data. I strive to capture the best we can. And for me, the review is actually on a lot of my stuff's pretty easy, because I set the bar pretty high as far as what I
Yeah.
want. I'll give you an example of an EVP or anything like that. If it's something I generally will play, at least for our tour groups, it's something I want them to tell me what they hear, and we're
Mhm.
on the same page without me planting any seeds of suggestion. When you get that, and
Absolutely.
and you're able to put that together, that's a pretty cool thing. And you got something pretty good. The other thing with me is too, and with 25 years of doing this, I'd love to stand here or sit here and tell you I've had a ton of personal paranormal experiences. I have not. Maybe had
Hmm.
8 or 9, and most of those are audio, where I've been in the location, I've been all alone, and I've heard somebody answer my question and understand it like they're right beside me. And luckily I haven't soiled myself yet. But the first thing I think is, oh God, I hope that's on the recorder. And in every case,
Yeah.
so then you can validate it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
So
cool.
so would you say that the EVPs and audio is your favorite type of evidence?
It is. It is. I really do enjoy that. I mean, I do all different things, but it is
Mhm.
it is a lot with the audio, because I do think there's some type of connection. And we have people within our own group that have different opinions on EVP work, how to obtain it. Some people want to go in very much blind, and that's fine. I
Mhm.
understand that reason. Me, I want as much information as I can to go in, because it helps me
Yeah.
formulate the set of questions I want to ask, some of the things I
Mhm.
want to do, how I want to approach the investigation. I want to make that connection. I want to be able to talk in
Yes.
that plane and that level, and be in a respectful manner as well.
Mhm. Well, and that's what we ask people whenever they come in to take tours at our locations. We always ask the teams, "Do you want to know the hot spots? Do you want to know the history in the hot spots? Like, you tell us what you want to know. We
Mhm.
do require, if a team is putting a video out,
Mhm.
because the history, it's so important to us that it's done right. We
Sure.
do require that they do take a history tour if they're putting a video out.
Mhm.
That way,
Very understandable.
yeah, yeah. But we do understand, though, that there are people that do have different sensitivities and different abilities,
Mhm.
and that want to come in blind.
Mhm.
They just can't put a video out if they're going to come in blind, or at least those particular people
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
understand that as well. I do. I mean, everybody has a different approach and whatever works
yeah.
for them and how they want to go about it. I know for me, like I said, knowing as much information. I'll give you an example. Like I'll look
Mhm.
up or Civil War slang terminology, words that would have been used back
Mhm.
in that time to kind of use that and equate that into the questions I ask.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, because you do get that, because sometimes if you don't know the history and you're getting these responses in real time, like on the SB7, or
Mhm.
doing any form of ITC research, and you get these words in the moment, if you don't know the history, you can't really go and ask directed questions
Mhm.
to be able to really follow up with
Yeah,
the
because again, you're
information that
trying
you're
to make
getting.
that connection. You're trying to make
That's
that
right.
connection.
That's
And
right.
to me, it's very important to know as much info to be able to have as much information, those things at your disposal. I use basically 3 or 4 different methods. I will with EVP work. One is the simple
Mm.
Q&A. I like
Mhm.
to keep sessions very short, a minute or two, 30,
Mhm.
40-second pause in between, and then repeat the process. The downside of that is I know some people like to let the recorder continue to run, but to me, there's so many different things with contamination that can occur.
Yeah.
And of course, the downside of that is when you turn the recorder off, of course, you could miss something as well. So, but that's me. I do like shorter sessions. I think they're much easier to
Mhm.
review. The other thing I'll do is sometimes with the information I'll go, I might get something incorrect to see if it's corrected. Um,
Mhm.
I'll even go as far as explain. There's another method I'll use to explain who I am and what I'm after, or what's it like on the other side, because I'm going to be there as well someday.
Yeah.
I'll pretty much try to explain the best I can about the equipment I have and trying to hear someone communicate. And if not, I understand. Always try to do it with respect.
Yeah.
Thankful for the opportunity. Thankful if anybody does want to communicate, but if not,
Mhm.
I understand that as well. And then the final thing when I've played all my cards is I just talk about my life. I
Yeah.
work in a bakery, but we find a lot of times with EVPs, we'll get a lot just mainly when there's just general conversation amongst the group where somebody's jumping
Yes.
in and you're like, where did it come from?
I tell you, the weirdest thing with ours is one of the more active areas in the jail is the bathroom. It was a former drunk tank, and so we tell people, keep your recorder on whenever you're in there, because some people, and actually we'll be releasing it real soon. The last team that investigated at the jail got this really crazy cool EVP, and literally kind of gives a, if I mean, it's just it's very interesting.
Mhm.
We'll play that at some point whenever we get it from that
I
team.
love to
But
hear that. Yeah.
yeah, and then the others, it's like if you go in interrogating them, I don't know if it's because they were interrogated a lot during their time there in jail,
Sure.
but just having casual conversation, and even if you're just hanging out and eating or doing whatever with your team, kind of strategizing,
Mhm.
keep a recorder going, because that's when they seem like they want to really interact, is when you're not really paying them attention.
And I get that part too of having a recorder. We'll have people that they will let it run, and I'm fine with that. Like I said, when we go through and do the review, um, we of course we try to tag everything as it occurs, and those things like your
Yeah.
stomach growling or clearing your throat and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff like that. But I understand that part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just for the folks that are watching here in the chat room, Marty and I were talking before the show. So he's provided me some really cool EVPs that we're going to play. And of course, the way we're going to do it is, Marty kind of alluded to that in the conversation there, but the way we're going to do it is I'm going to tell him which one that I'm about to play. He's going to set it up, and we're not going to tell you what is being heard or what the capture is in the EVP there. We want you all to tell us what you hear, because I really like Marty's approach to this. The power of suggestion. If you know, it's kind of crazy how you can hear something and someone can tell you, well, I hear, or you can listen to something,
Mhm.
maybe not quite hear what it's saying, but as soon as someone tells you what they hear, it's like, oh yeah, I hear that. And
And
then all
we've
of a
done
sudden you
that
hear nothing
on our
else.
tours numerous times where we share EVPs or spirit box clips, and once, like I said, once I mentioned that, 90% of the group will agree with me, and sometimes even more. Where that's kind of like us again. Like I said, I want to kind of know beforehand. What we do with our EVPs within the group when we email them back and forth, and there's stuff that comes
Yes.
my way, I will get the clips first, the audio clips, and then a short time later will be a separate email with a key that the investigator has
Oh,
supplied to me. But I listen to them first without the key. Then
mm-hmm.
I look at the key and what
Yeah.
they believe they are. That's kind of
Do
how we
you
go through it to kind of determine.
do you find a lot of the time that you all are pretty close? I mean, obviously it depends
Mhm.
on the place and what you're hearing, but do you find that you all are pretty close to
Yeah,
hearing the
a lot of
same?
times, but for me, and again, I have a pretty strict bar with it. If we're not, I dismiss it. I
Mm,
don't like to reach,
yeah.
and particularly if it's anything that we're going to share on the ghost tours, I
Yes.
want to share the very best that we have with people. That there's a full understanding when everybody hears it. They're like, wow, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even some that I think kind of like, because some people are, especially people that haven't been experienced to it and what they're listening for, might not have the idea, what I'm saying, of what to listen for. And then
Yeah.
again, like I said, after we tell them and kind of, but
Mhm.
I don't know if that made any sense or not, but
No,
it
no,
is a
it
process. It
does.
is a process. I don't like to reach. I don't.
Yeah.
Because I think, I don't know if I'm just doing it this long or not. It's for me again. Like I said, the evaluation part is pretty easy because when I go
Mhm.
through it, I know what I'm looking for or listening for, and if it's something, I'm looking for something that's going to be a game changer, so to speak.
Absolutely, and when you're sharing something like that on a tour, you truly want it to be a Class A EVP or a
Uh
Class
huh.
A experience, because then at that point, there's no real doubt about it at that point. If you play an EVP, I always say, because even though I'm a solo investigator, I've got a handful of people that I will send my EVPs to just
Hmm.
to say, "Do you hear this?" Because I don't wanna call it out if I'm hearing something
Sure.
that nobody else is hearing.
Hmm.
And so, and then too, it doesn't mean just because you do put it out there that everybody will hear it. However, it's like a true class AEVP. If you can play it, if I have, I feel like if I have to listen to it 3 times
Hmm.
and still not get what it's saying or
Hmm.
still clearly hear
Yep.
it, it needs to be thrown out at that point.
I agree with that. I do understand some, because there might be some that I'm struggling with where I'm listening to
Mhm.
and I'm close. I'm in the
Mhm.
ballpark. But then when I
Yes.
look at the key, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it.
Mhm.
And so then, yeah,
And I don't have to, and I actually want to clarify that. I don't have to completely understand what they're saying, because sometimes we don't understand what they're
no.
saying.
Hmm.
And I'll put either undescript or that undistinguishable. But if I'm there and I'm the only female and I can clearly get a male's voice, but I can't understand what it's saying, I
Hmm.
still have no explanation as to why there's a male there if I've been able to account for the fact of any noise pollution or anything like that, if I'm truly the only person in the building or in the area,
Right.
you know. But yeah, I love hearing the way people go about finding their evidence and go about kind of culling things down. But I say we go ahead and get to some of these EVPs here. Let me get this. Okay, I want to make sure. Let me just whoops. I think that's, I don't know why it started playing it all of a sudden. Um, let me. Okay, I was seeing how it was going to let me play it. All right, so the first one that I'm going to play here is Doe Hill Cemetery.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that's the first one.
Doe Hill Cemetery is located about 30 miles west of Stanton, over toward the West Virginia line. It's a very remote area. You can't even really get phone service out there. Not very good. And several years ago, this would have been the early years of the group, we sent training group out there to train. We had some friends that lived on a big farm out there, and they had a cemetery out on their land. It had about maybe 20 to 30 graves in there, and several of them were children. We're talking about mid 1800s, early 1800s. And so we've gotten permission, sent 4 investigators out there. They loaded up a van, 2 men, 2 women. They go out to the cemetery, and they are actually unloading their equipment, and they're coming across the cemetery, and you hear them talking, but you hear something in the background.
Okay. All right. So let me get this keyed up. I'm going to mute my mic in the process. Could you all hear that? I'm going to play it again if
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing that.
let me try one more thing. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to see if some things do better. Let's see if this will let me actually upload it. No, it's not letting me upload.
And I believe this second EVP with that name on that is just the EVP only.
Okay, let's see here. Let me just try one more thing. Let me try unmuting my mic and see if that works. I was just afraid I would get feedback, but let me try that one more time here. Could you hear that better?
A little bit better.
Okay.
But it's...
Yeah, I definitely recommend y'all play with headphones there. Was it the whisper?
It was.
Okay.
And then the second clip is just that EVP of the whisper.
Okay, I'll play that. Okay. I'll play it one more time. I couldn't hear it as good with my head. I can hear that better. I can hear it. It sounds like a little girl to me. Let's see. We've got a couple folks here. Ronnie says, "Help me." I hear what almost sounds like 3 words.
Mm-hmm. You want me to elaborate now?
Yeah.
What we hear is, "Come on out and play."
Okay. Okay. Let
And
me.
it's a whisper. It is a girl, a small girl.
You can definitely, definitely sounds like a child. It's crazy because when I play this, it plays it through my computer, and I've got my headphones on, and I feel like it's muffling my sound. Let me see here. Whoops.
Would you like for me to play it here on my end?
Actually, that might
pick that up.
Yes. Why don't we try that and
Alrighty.
see? Because all you have to do is, if you've got it on your screen there, is hit the present at the bottom.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
And that will allow me to pull
Present.
it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
you
present,
hit.
and it'll give me a thing to where I can find the
Yes.
video file or slides.
Share screen probably, because that's what I was trying to do was the video, and since it's a wave, it wouldn't let me upload it. Usually that makes it louder. Thank you all for for bearing with us while he's finding that. Yeah, there's people are definitely hearing. I mean, it's clear as can be. I just didn't think it translated as well over.
Let me try playing that here and see.
All right, here we go. Once you hit that, I'll give you permission.
I need to hit select to share. Okay. Were you able to hear that?
I could hear that. I don't know if it was any louder.
That's right. No.
I could hear it. I don't know if it was any better than this one. Does it allow you when you hit present to hit the share screen?
It's not letting me. I mean, I'm hitting it,
Okay.
but I don't know if there's anything.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
showing.
I'm not getting permission on it. Let's see here. Why don't you try sharing one of the other ones like you did before, or like you just did? Because I could hear that.
Okay. Share.
If that doesn't work, I'll pull up and.
Let's see.
Now that time I heard that really good.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Let me jack. Of course, I got the volume jacked up on it, but let's see here. Here we go again.
You can definitely hear the yep. There's Sonia says she heard come out and play.
Yep. Bingo.
You can hear the play on the end really, really well. Nancy says she heard it. And then Deb says heard it. She didn't know what the words were, but I could hear the come out and play. It's crazy how you can hear just like hear the tone in the child's voice.
It's a whisper, come on out and play. And
yeah,
they did not realize they captured that. We went through the review and it was on there, and I'm about to turn a double somersault because that's in our backyard basically. It's close to here, and I thought it was a tremendous EVP, and so I went back about a month later. I went out there, sat out in the cemetery. It was like 5 degrees, and I brought a lot of trigger objects and toys. And I didn't get squat. I had to. I was frozen. I had to be helped back to my Jeep, but I know that's the way it goes. But yeah, I was excited about that because here we got a place here. It's very rural. There's not,
yeah.
it's just not. And to get that in the cemetery, and they weren't aware of it. They were talking back and forth. Recorder was on, and then you hear that whisper.
Well, and that's what's cool, because I always tell people, because we'll have people that get discouraged when they don't get something on, another investigation or whatever. And it's like, no, it's the times that you don't get anything that really validates the times that you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. It does. And with that, like I said, again, just based on the location, and they've let us, we've went back numerous times, but we've never been able to, and I don't know for whatever reason, but and like I said, when we first went out there, it was nothing more than just a training exercise to work with the equipment.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, we felt very blessed for the opportunity, and really didn't expect that. And so, wow, yeah, like I said, that's why I'm excited to be that close to home here and in the area. We know how rural it is out there. So, yeah.
I love cemeteries. I actually really love investigating cemeteries myself.
Yeah, I do too. And we get some questions sometimes with that about theories about the haunts with the cemetery and stuff. And we share a little bit about, at least our guides and myself, about our different personal beliefs with that.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of people believe that cemeteries are haunted, or do you find that more people think that, why would the spirit stay with the body there?
We'll get that question every now and then, but most people, for the most part, believe them to be on the active or haunted side. My personal opinion with that is maybe just a personal attachment to the body, the physical remains to remain there.
Yeah,
that's just my personal opinion, and I share that, but I label it as my personal opinion too.
Sure. Sure. I mean, I've always enjoyed cemeteries. One around here, they're easy.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously we do have the closed after dark rule, but because we
Sure.
have so many rural mountain cemeteries, most of them don't close.
Mhm.
I've got a cemetery on my property here that can just, walk out to anytime and investigate. But, it is a good place to practice. It's a good place to I use my dowsing rods there, train with the dowsing rods, train
Mhm.
with, the different equipment. It's a good testing ground, really.
It is.
I
It is.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the fact that, we knew these people, it was on their land and they gave us permission to stay in there, later than dark. I mean, past dark,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and that was cool. So it's an opportunity we want to take advantage of. And yeah, an amazing EVP.
I love it. I mean, that's class A right there. Let's see here. We've got one here, Farnsworth. Let's see, Jeremy.
Yeah, this is very early, 2006. A visit to the Farnsworth house. Of course, this post Lisa's experience. Stayed in the Sarah Black room with this one,
Okay.
and supposedly the room is haunted by a little boy named Jeremy. If you've stayed or know the story, he was about 6 or 7 years old, got hit in front of the house, run over by a carriage, was brought back into the house, died a short time later in this room. And the room
Okay.
was supposed to be very active then. Well, Lisa and I had done a weekend stay there, and as soon as we get into the room, we check in, and immediately I wanted to get the recorder, so I'm sitting on the bed and I'm actually, asking a question, and you'll hear a response. And this is a long clip because there is several things that are going on this. My only regret with this particular clip is I wish I would have reviewed it or listened for it while I was up there. I didn't think about
Oh.
it, and I spent as much time out on the battlefield doing other things, and I
Mhm.
probably would have spent a little bit more time concentrating and focusing to follow up with that, but I didn't, and I didn't realize I had it till I got home Monday evening. I'm listening, and there it is. But anyways, you can play it, and then I'll explain.
All right, and I'm gonna take my headphone out here. All right, here we go.
Jeremy, do you like us being here?
Oh wow, that's cool. So I'm gonna play that again. Hopefully you all could hear that because I mean, that's very clear.
Jeremy, do you like us being here?
Now, was that speaking twice, or was that second time somebody?
It was the same. It was Jeremy, um,
Okay.
and if anybody wants to take a guess of what they heard, there is a part of it that's, you hear him right out the gate, and then there's
Hmm.
a bang or tap that kind of interrupts with what could be said in the second sentence. Um, but if anybody wants to take a guess at it, if not, I'll go on and elaborate.
I'll play that one more time. So if you guys have a guess of what you think, go ahead and put that in the comments there.
Jeremy, do you like us being here?
All right. Does anybody have a guess on that? Okay. Uh, Alice says, I thought I heard I don't know at the very beginning before the bang. And Bob thought he heard I'm sure.
We went with doing evaluation with it. We went, His first thing is, do you like us being here? And in it almost sounds like he says, I'm bored. And then you have the tap, and there's another word. I have no clue what that other word is. But at the end of that clip, he actually starts humming. You
Oh,
start hearing like,
wow.
doo 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 doo. And I'm like, wow.
Well, you can clearly hear it like a male child
Yeah.
talking. And that's what I love about these two EVPs you've sent. You can hear the tone in the voice.
Mhm.
You can hear almost, I don't want to say an age, but you can hear kind of an age range in the voice.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we went with. There is a little bit like the tap, that bang, whatever that was. And it wasn't me or anything, but that kind of disrupted that second sentence he said. I'm taking, he said, I'm bored. And then there was something else. And then after that, again, like I said, then he goes into that little humming and I'm like, oh, wow. He's happy.
Yeah.
He's happy.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow.
That's an incredible EVP there. Let's see. Whoops. Deb said no. Wondered if it said no. And Bob says, could that have been a gunshot, that tap or bang sound?
It very well possibly could have been. I mean, with the Farnsworth house, there were a lot of soldiers, a lot of guns, and the one side of the house has over 130 some bullet holes from the Battle of Gettysburg, in the wall. So it's very possible. It's
a good theory. Let's see here. Here is one for Mifflin, the powder mag.
Powder mag. Okay, this is one I actually heard in real time, and this I was working alone. If you're not familiar with Fort Mifflin, Philadelphia, it's again one of my favorite locations.
Great place.
The fort has it's a pretty Revolutionary War fort built by the Freemasons. It's known as the fort that saved America. It originally come on my radar through ghost hunters. They had investigated, got some pretty cool stuff. It's been very active every time we've been there, and we've been there now. I've been there about 12 times, but this was an investigation back around 2009. I was working alone, went in a powder magazine, if you know what the powder magazine. That go. And so I basically sat down on the floor up against the wall, and I was using that, if you remember the RT EVP recorder.
Yes, yeah.
Playback thing, and I was trying to amplify and hear this stuff in real time. And so I'm sitting there and I'm firing off questions in regards to the history and certain soldiers there, names that I had looked up and researched, as well as prisoners as well. And so I go through and I'm doing about 20-25 minutes worth of questions, and I'm just taking my time and just relaxed and stuff. And so really not hearing anything with using the RT EVP recorder. So I make the comment, I'm going to pack up and leave. And you can play it, and you will hear, after you hear a voice, you will actually hear me scuffle, because I did not expect that. And then I responded. I understood what I was hearing, and I responded appropriately. So when you play this clip, you'll hear as it plays out.
So you actually heard it as a disembodied voice.
I did. And the thing about it is, with Fort Mifflin, it's right there beside the Philadelphia airport. And so you will hear a plane above in the distance there. Yeah. You'll hear that, but it still does not interrupt where you can hear what's coming across. It shouldn't.
Okay. We'll go ahead and play that here.
I probably need to leave. I heard that too. Do you want me to leave?
Okay, I'll play that one more time.
I probably need to leave. I heard that too. Do you want me to leave?
So that's cool that you heard that in the moment. Now, did it say, Ronnie? Yeah, I heard a plane. Did it say hey, or it sounded like one word response to me.
I hear a quick whisper that says thank you.
Okay.
And that's why I laughed, because I'm interpreted right then as there's thank you, and that's why I laughed. And I said, do you really want me to leave? There's no response after that. And I was like, oh gosh, I had
So did you end up staying at that point?
no, I left. I'm a man of my word. I thought,
Gotcha.
well, if you don't want me to be here, I'm not going to aggravate you. And thank
Yeah.
you for and so I left. And I've brought that up when I've been back in there. And I've been in there before using the same recorder or a hearing aid or whatnot. And I've been able to hear responses in the background, responding to my questions. My problem was I couldn't understand what was being said then. And I couldn't understand after I even recorded it and tried to evaluate it further, which
Yeah.
I apologize for, but it's just, but yet I could hear someone whispering and talking in the background.
It's hard in the moment, because I know I listen to a lot of the time. If I always keep a static recorder on me or a mobile recorder on me, and I listen with headphones a lot, and I can hear mostly with the headphones. A lot of the time, I have to go back and listen. That's like right now. I'm listening quickly through the computer, and I hear them. I can't always make out what they're saying unless I'm sitting there listening with the headphones. And so that's hard to do sometimes. And I know Bob was mentioning the reverb in there. But that whole, that casemate or whatever is very,
You got
yeah.
that. And, like I said, when I heard it and identified, you hear me scuffle. I'm sitting there, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. I didn't expect that. I really didn't. And that was my first disembodied voice.
Oh, wow.
Right. Or that was the very first time I had that happen.
Okay. Now, I will say, I was there. I have not got to do an investigation there. My business partner, Chris, that's one of her favorite places to investigate. And we were on our way to the Lizzie Borden house to investigate. And I had landed, in Pittsburgh there. And so she was picking me up there at the airport. And I was like, let's stop there at Fort Mifflin. And so we went to do one of the day tours, and we were just walking around, and we got a disembodied voice there in the casemate. It was a man, and it was just as clear as can be. There was this was in November, and so there wasn't a lot of people there walking around. I think maybe there was one or two other people.
Go. It's actually November, early spring. I love it. There's several reasons why I love the history with it, but I love the way it's run too. It pretty much you're on your own. It's spread out enough where you can take a fairly large size group, split the group up. You don't have to worry about contamination, at least within the groups. The only downside with it is there being there at the airport. And of course,
yes,
the air traffic does die down a little bit later at night, but still, but that's my only downside with it. I love the fort. I love the history there. And, a lot of the things with the casemates and stuff that are underground, even.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we've had happen there, a lot of disembodied voices that people have caught. People have seen things out of the corner of the eye, shadow figures, things move by real quickly. Just touch there and everything. And so, we love it. We generally try to get up there at least once a year, and then we'll plan to go back up again in March, April. So I'm very big.
And just incredible history.
It is.
Let's see. Now, is the other one here where it says EVP only? Is that the same as the one?
That would have been the thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna play that one again, just
Okay.
to, let's see here. Oh wow.
Yeah, when you loop that's another thing I like to do. I like to do a lot of looping when I'm listening, trying to process things. But that's where I hear it clearly with the thank you. It's a quick thank you.
Wow. You can actually hear almost the reverb in that of him talking.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's the same cadence and voice that I have actually when I've been in there before when other investigations were. He's tried to, or I believe that individual has tried to communicate with me. I just haven't been able to put it together. And I apologize. I'm like, I can't understand. I'm trying to do the best I can, but I couldn't. And then I'm hoping, well, maybe you can figure it out when you get home and you're on the recorder, and I still couldn't decipher.
Yeah.
But I knew I was getting something. I was getting some interaction, some communication. And I think it basically, the last time I was in there doing that, I said a prisoner's name, and it's I believe it struck a chord. because from that point on, then I was getting whispers and stuff. If you knew so and so, and I'd hear what I thought sounded like some,
Mm-hmm.
that there might have been some type of relationship there, which was
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Well, and as Bob
Yeah,
says,
so
that's clear. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, just wow.
And I just read when I heard it, I knew it's like he doesn't want my cup. My cup. Okay, sorry.
Well, here's another one from Fort Mifflin. This is Sallyport.
Okay, this is the story with this is again we had went to Mifflin, a separate investigation here. We had taken a group of 12 people. Lisa was on this investigation, and I had put her with 2 other friends of her about the same age. I thought I'd let the women work together.
Mhm.
3 of them, they knew each other pretty well, and so I did. And pretty much the investigation was pretty uneventful for the most part. We didn't have anything really happen, personal experiences or anything that disembodied voices or anything while we were there. So when we got home, as normal procedure, usually with Lisa and myself, I would do her eval on the audio recorder and whatnot. And so she had a couple of little bad habits with her. She'd like to wear her recorder around her neck, and sometimes it would rub on her clothing, which would create false positives. So I was always really tough on her stuff, and I'd say, you know what, it's got to be really good, Lisa. And so I come down here in my man cave, and I'm laying there on that sofa, and I'm listening to it, and I get into about several hours into the night with the recorder. And they are actually down the West Sallyport, and they're off into the side areas where the guard houses would have been there. And they're talking amongst themselves. And as you listen to this, you will hear them. It's just, this might be a little bit hard to understand because they're talking loud, and it is the echo, the reverb in there again.
Okay.
But all of a sudden you hear a male voice, like it's almost up right on the top of the recorder, and it's a raspy whisper type voice.
Okay. I'll cue that up now. Whoops, let's see here. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna play that again. I think I know what I hear, but I'm gonna play that again because that is a clear raspy whisper. Wow.
Yep.
Here we go.
Now, this might be a little bit harder to decipher, mainly because I really need to explain a little bit more in depth about the conversation they were having, and I don't even really know how to go about it because it's funny, but yet they were having a conversation between themselves, the 3 of them, and Lord, I asked Lisa, why in the hell are you all talking about that? We were talking how you get a little bit older, how you put on a little bit of body weight, and certain body parts start to hang.
Right.
And at the end of it starts singing that song about, do your ears hang low? You hear that at the very end of the clip. But in the meantime, you hear this voice, this male voice right in the middle of it, and they're oblivious. They have no idea. They're just this. Yep. No idea. They're going.
I thought it said something.
What you hear, then I'll explain it a little bit more.
Okay, that is exactly what I thought I heard, Deb. He doesn't hate you, is what it sounded like to me. It's just like, he doesn't hate you.
You're close.
And then Daryl says, what the hell are you doing here?
You want me to go or you want to play it again?
I'm going to play it again because I do hear, to me, I hear something doesn't hate you. And then I thought it said he, but then I was like, I'm not sure. But yeah, Deb, I heard the same thing you did. Let me pull this up here. Okay, what you got?
I hear it and some of it is based on the conversation they were having.
Okay.
I hear it doesn't hang on you. He's talking. He's pervert. But anyway, it doesn't hang on you. And
yes.
I went out there and I gave Lisa a high five and a big hug. I'm like, oh. And she said, that's it. I'm done. No, I'm not. That was her last investigation. That was it. That was it. She said, I'm done. Creeped her out. But that's what I hear. It doesn't hang on you.
I can't.
They were talking about what they were.
Uh-huh.
I don't like, how the hell do I explain that to anybody? But no.
No, I mean, they do. They'll talk about, I mean, they'll jump into whatever you're talking about.
That's what
And
they were talking about, though. They had spent several minutes. And, one of the things that fascinated me about it was, and I could tell by just listening, and you get a feel for it, the male voice is closer to the recorder than they are. It's obvious that it's closer to the recorder than they are. They're off to a distance there, and they're just chit-chatting away, and he doesn't hang on you.
wow. They're aware and intelligent. That's for sure.
Yep. Now, I've been back there several times minus Lisa, and I've gone in there a couple times. Hey, you wouldn't happen to remember Lisa and some other. I didn't have any luck, but
we'll play the EVP only here. Same thing, EVP only. Whoops. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I like to do a lot with the looping and stuff when I'm processing through it, and that's what I had.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
And I hear that hang prominently, like the G on the end of that doesn't hang.
When you play it this way, you can hear the ang there on it. Yeah, when you hear them talking with it, you don't hear it as good
with it somewhat, because it's all everybody's,
Yeah.
You separate the EVP there and then you loop it and stuff, and I do a lot with the looping, but yeah. It's like, oh, yeah. So that was her last investigation. She's like, I'm out.
When you start getting compliments from ghosts,
Yeah, that's what I told her. I said, look, I mean,
you got it going on at that point. Yeah, it looks like everyone's hearing the hang now, especially whenever I played that second one.
Yeah, especially if you know a little bit like the pretext of the conversation.
Yes.
We were talking about that, and she's telling me about that. I'm like, because when I'm first listening to it, I'm thinking, what the hell are you all talking about? Really?
And then it's like, whose voice was that?
Yeah. And like I said, they were oblivious. They had no idea. They never heard it. And,
Wow.
I discovered it on the recorder. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Wow, that's a great capture. This next one is Fairfield Inn EVP.
Okay. This is from the Fairfield Inn, which is just outside of Gettysburg. I had actually come across, again, I love Civil War history. It had come across my radar on an episode of Ghost Lab. They had been there, and they got a really good EVP. And I thought, well, of course, I'd like to stay. So Lisa actually treated me out there one year for my birthday. And it actually happened to fall on a weeknight. And so we ended up having the whole inn to ourselves. And we were there. And so I had kind of wandered around in a few rooms and was just running the audio recorder and asking some questions. And I was sitting in a bedroom there and was asking, I was basically explaining, I was going with the technique. I was explaining that I had equipment here to help me hear you speak.
Okay.
And you'll hear a reply.
Okay.
And I did. I heard this in real time as well.
Okay, cool.
This was without any kind of hearing aid.
Okay.
You can help me hear you speak.
Oh, wow. Okay. I think I know what I think it said, so I'm going to play it again.
You can help me hear you speak. You can help me hear you speak.
Okay, that's clearly mimicking you.
It is.
Speak. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I heard
that was cool.
I heard that in real time. And I'm just sitting there at the table, just coffee table there, and I'm just, asking my questions like, wow, okay. But nothing after that. There was no replies or anything that I could hear or that the recorder picked up. That was the lone EVP that I got there that whole evening. But I was like, wow, that's cool.
That's an incredible EVP. I mean, that shows intelligence. It shows awareness. And
I was talking to someone that was intelligent and could converse. And yeah.
That was cool. Okay. And so then this next one is from Villisca.
Okay, this is a spirit box, and if you're familiar with the Villisca Axe Murder House, I've been there a few times. Enjoyed it. Long trip out there should have flown, but
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were running the spirit box and we were trying to communicate. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the story with the children that had been
Yes.
murdered there. And so basically you'll hear me ask the box how old you are, and then you'll hear a response.
Okay. What area were you in when you were?
This was actually in the upstairs bedroom, the children's
Oh.
bedroom upstairs.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Here we go.
Thanks, Michael.
How old are you?
That was nice.
Wow. Okay.
How old are you?
That was nice.
I'm going to play it one last time.
How old are you?
That was nice.
Okay. Clearly a kid.
Mhm.
Clearly. Now we've got several different comments here. And of course, as Michael says, always great EVPs, Marty. Have to agree with that. So we've got Ronnie says 7, Bob says 7, Alice 4, Sonia 4, Daryl 7, Nancy 4. It's interesting. All the women are saying 4 and all the men are saying 7.
I would have break with that. I hear 4. I
Do you-
hear a little boy say 4, and it's
And
kind of he's got like a 4.
Uh-huh. Almost like a impediment a little bit.
Yeah.
Michael says 9. Deb 4. And then Alice said the same thing to Peter. It is interesting because do you find, because you've got mixed gender team, correct?
Yeah.
Men and women. Okay. Do you find that that's kind of the case sometimes that because they always say women hear in a different pitch than men. So
I do. And we talk about that often. I know, and I say this too, just with things with Lisa. I use as an example. I talk a lot on our tours, and it's just, of course, it's a personal belief for me, but I believe women are more likely to have paranormal experience than a man just because they're more in tune with their senses, make a better connection. I know it's absolutely the case with Lisa myself because she's paying attention to everyone, everything, and she's and me. I'm checking the ball score, and I'm like, oh dang, we're losing again, and there's probably a paranormal circus going on behind me. I don't know. But she's into it. I mean, she's like on it, and I probably miss a lot of stuff, but. Yeah, but for me, it was a prominent response, and we had another experience there. The first time we went out there, me and a fellow investigator were down in the parlor, and we were doing EVP work, and he was sitting over on a sofa across from me, and I was in a chair, and I was changing the batteries in my audio recorder, and all of a sudden his EMF meter started to spike and go off for no reason, and so he says, "Children, are you here with us?" And I'm changing the batteries, and I heard a little girl go, "Yeah." And I look up immediately at him, and he's looking at me, and he's like, "Did you hear that?" And I went, "Yeah, it was a kid." And then I started saying, I would be putting batteries in the recorder now, wouldn't I? Somebody had left their recorder down on the kitchen table and was running and was recording, and it caught it. But it was very faint.
Oh, cool.
We were able to capture it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, at least they caught it, Yeah. And that's really cool. That, to me, that last one on the spirit box. So you've provided a great example of a combination of EVPs that weren't heard in the moment, disembodied voices that you were able to capture that you did hear in the moment, and then spirit box. And the spirit box, to be able to capture not only the child's voice there on the spirit box, but saying a child's age and responding intelligently. I mean,
an intelligent answer. And we know the youngest child was 4.
That's true. That's true.
The youngest child was 4.
Yeah, and so I mean, I don't really know how you can refute that. I mean, if you had a man or a woman saying that, it might be questionable, but to actually have a kid coming across the spirit box saying a child's age,
and
I mean, that's incredible.
A young child.
Yes.
And clearly. And it was
clearly.
Wow. Good capture. Good capture.
Mm-hmm. Some very good captures here.
I'm reading that about the alien. You want to explain about the alien back here?
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I named him Drinking Buddy. Yeah, I got a different sense of humor, I guess. But I actually bought him last year. I am big on Halloween and props and stuff like that. And so the thought was to buy him and because we actually, on our Dark Tales and Haunts tour of the city, we actually have a UFO story. There was an encounter just outside of town here. And so that tour features a lot of different stuff. So I've actually taken him downtown a few times and had him, we'll have customers pose with him and get their photographs and all. They kind of like that. I remember when he first got him, of course, all this stuff always freaks Lisa out. It's got to stay down here in the basement. But we put it in a big bay window up there and ordered something from Domino's. That was a hoot. Watching him come up the driveway, looking up there. But anyways, the plan and where I'm going with this is now I actually have a couple other aliens. You can see one back there lying down. I move over here, right over here.
A crash site alien. Oh my gosh.
I have one up on the sofa up here. Well, I'll tell you where I'm going with this. I've actually expanded upon that. We are creating a tour to launch in 2025 called Alien Encounters. Something different. I try to be creative with the tours that we do and whatnot. And basically the whole premise of it is to go to a wooded area, have our tour guide, who we want to be very theatrical with it, but be able to relay historical information. He's going to embark to take you on a journey through the woods he believes there's been a UFO crash out there in alien life, and he wants to find it. And along the way, he's going to tell you 6 different UFO alien abduction stories along the way. And of course, the props play into that. This guy back over here, Drinking Buddy. I don't know why I call him that, as I really don't even drink. But he scared a lot of people, and he's solid. He's about 6 foot tall. The others here are just kind of, we have one there in a dead pose and the other there. And I even have a little baby one down there too. And so that was the premise, is to put this kind of tour together. We want to kick it off in March of 2025, when it's a little bit cooler weather and starting out the season. It's going to be the type of tour we're not going to run like month to month. It's going to be something like 2 weekends out of the year. But it was something I wanted to do and kind of expand. And that's one of the things and the challenges with the Ghost Tours with 17 years from now, or 17 years from when we started, is to invent new stuff and create still, because you can only go but so far, and every place can't be haunted. And that's why, exactly like with our Dark Tales, it features anything from ghost stories to unsolved murders to UFO stories to the darker side. And again, like I said, we talk about the D. Jarnett Western State Lunatic Asylum here because there was a big eugenics program there. And it's kind of a black eye on the town here, but just different stuff with that. And that's completely different. It does veer off a little bit from not necessarily the paranormal. You get a little bit of everything with that too.
Sure.
And so
I love that you keep them fresh. And I just got to say, I love your personality and your sense of humor. And I can only imagine how fun your tours are going to be. I've got to get up there. I've passed through Staunton several times, and actually quite a few times.
Well, we would love to have you on a tour.
Yeah, I want to come and experience it for myself. Now, do you all go into any locations? Do you get to go inside of any on your tour?
There is one now that we do go inside, but it has to be I'll give you an example where actually it's a tour that we do twice a year over at the American Hotel, which is down at the Depot Station. That's served as a Civil War hospital, and it's right there at the railroad, which would have made sense because, of course, that's your link to Richmond back and forth. There's been a lot of activity in there, and we're actually doing that tour next Saturday night. It's already sold out, where we'll take people inside the hotel, explain some of the stories, talk about some of the things that happened there, and then afterward, we're doing the walkthrough with that, we're doing a paranormal audio presentation. We're going to present some audio clips that have been caught in there, talk a little bit about EVP and stuff, and play some of these clips for the guests. Again, like I said, like we do, it's a thing where you tell me what you hear. I kind of,
I love that.
Discuss it and break it down.
Yeah, and it gets everyone involved on the tour there. Do you cap your tours at a certain number?
I do try to keep them right around 35 generally, but the closer we get to Halloween, it can be difficult with online because we have a lot of walk-ons and we're not prepared for that. And the closer we get to Halloween, I hate to turn anybody away, but I want to manage the group too where it's enjoyable. And what I'll do is if we get over like 25, automatically the tour guide's going to be equipped with a microphone, and then we're going to put what I call back-end security back in the group to keep the group together so they don't wander off, keep them, flowing. But yeah,
Wonderful. Well,
October's crazy. It is. I love it because I love to present the stuff, but there's times I'm not able to get away, and there's things I want to do. Like I'm big on the haunted attractions. I love to do busch gardens. I love haunted, but it's
Yes.
hard for me to get away to do those things.
Yeah, I totally. You're singing my song here.
And I do want to come down. Actually, I'd like to bring our group down and do the jail. That's the other thing with the tours and stuff. And too, I want to be 63. I hate saying that, but I'm going to be 63 in September.
What?
I am slowing down a little bit. I probably maybe do 4 investigations for about a year now, but I used to do a lot. And part of it is, I mean, just getting older and with work and stuff. But then the other thing is too, like I said, the tours have grown so much, and there's so much to, at least for me, I'm always at it.
Yeah.
Tonight will be a typical night. I'll be up to about 4 or 5 in the morning doing stuff, or they're tweaking with the website or stuff, or events, trying to promote and whatnot. You know, I as far as the tours are concerned, I enjoy it at the Passions there. I want everybody to have a good time, a wonderful time, something that you talk about and remember and want to come back. And we have repeat customers that'll come back and say, you know, I like going down there, and I'm very interactive with the tour. So basically every weekend we have something going on, I'm down there to introduce our guides and talk with the people and stuff and share stories. And I enjoy that. I enjoy hearing people's personal experiences and then sharing mine as well, and my personal beliefs and stuff. And, you know, it's a lot of fun.
I love that. And I totally agree, Nancy. She said, you don't show your age. I would have never thought you were 63. Yeah. And like I said, I love your energy. And,
thank you.
You know,
when I got into this really too, when I really turned the page, I was really big, and I was a big softball player, and I spent 17 years playing, and then finally age caught up with me in injuries. And so when I gave it up, I was kind of lost, and I was like, hey, paranormal investigator, let's go there and do that. And so I have ever since. So.
Well, we definitely love, you know, hearing your stories and want to have you come down, because I'd love to see what you capture down here at the jail.
Yeah. So yeah, very much.
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, guys, thank you all so much for watching and just kind of looking at the comments. Make sure I've not missed anything before we end here. I totally agree, Bob.
I'm reading some of these. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it. I enjoy talking with people. That's one of the best things about the field.
Absolutely. And so as we're going through the comments here, I've been cycling through some of your pages here as we've been talking. I pulled up the Ghost page. Now, do you all still put videos together? I know Black Raven, was it Black Raven Chronicles that you guys used to do?
Yeah, we had done that years ago with the group. We had actually put together a little series. We were approached by a local TV station here to do something. They wanted to come along and film some of our investigations. And so we did, and it kind of got off to a rocky start. That the person that we had come doing the filming and stuff caused a lot of contamination. There was just some issues. And so we had to cut ties in the middle of the project. And then we went out and hired an editor to finish for them to put it. And they did put it on local TV here. So we were sitting there and we were holding this for the longest time. And we wondered, what could we do with this? So one of our members said, well, why don't we submit it to Amazon? And they accepted it. I'm not happy with it though, because of some of the editing with it. I think some of the audio is just terrible. But it is on Amazon. It's called the Black Raven Chronicles. And I know Michael's done his job with he has his series. Michael, I love Michael. He's a really great friend. We've known each other for a while, and like
great investigator, and just a good, solid, you know, person to know in the field, and just a great person all around. I really enjoy him.
We connected. We've experienced a lot of things on both sides of the plane, good and bad. So we have a lot in common. But his on Amazon, I highly recommend it. It's very good.
And so if anyone wants to take one of your tours or wants to find out more information about your team, where's the best places? Is there anywhere else that I've not pulled up? Because we did share your Facebook pages and the actual websites there on the show notes.
Yeah, we do have a YouTube channel. And you can access all this from the website. You can probably the better website to go to would be Ghost of Staunton. Eventually, Black Raven's probably going to fall all under this umbrella with that, because two websites can get a bit in between managing both. I
Yeah.
don't. I really need to catch up a lot with Black Raven Paranormal. There's a lot to do with that, but I've been so busy with the Ghost of Staunton. But if you go to Ghost of Staunton, you'll see there's plenty of links, not just in regards to the tours. A lot of different things I'll put on there as far as like, well, there's a link to Black Raven at the top. Then when you go down, there's a little video series that we put together, like Civil War Mysteries, our haunted trails, post-mortem photography, which is a big thing on one of our Victorian tours that we talk a lot about, and unsolved murders, stuff like that. Kind of, a little bit try to broaden the interest. We also have a paranormal vault that if people might turn in an experience, we put stuff, out from a tour or something for people to view and decide for themselves, whether it be a personal experience, a photograph, a video, or something they want us to share. We're more than happy to share. And
Wonderful.
there, you can see the link to our YouTube. We're on TikTok too. I swear I never get on TikTok. My daughter was on me to do it. You got to do it, Dad. You got to. So we're on there now. And then, of course, we did the BitChute too. We have BitChute. We're kind of expanded out on several platforms with it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm the same way. I am on TikTok, and I mostly use it because I go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. I'm so big into that.
Oh,
and
and I need to talk because I go down the rabbit holes too.
Yes,
Real deep.
I will lay down at night and I will pull up my TikTok. And you know how it is. Once you watch one video and you like a certain video, it's like they start, oh, you must like this. And so some of the weird conspiracy stuff that I get lost on, and I'm like, I can't stop. And I need to be posting videos because I've got a ton of evidence and a ton of things I could be promoting there on TikTok. And it's like, I just find that I'm, watching all these other videos.
I do too. I do. And the next thing I know, I realize that, oh gosh, where'd the time go?
Yes.
I gotta go to bed.
That's that. I'm gonna blame lost time is what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna say it's just disappearing time.
Yeah, I do. The kind of the only thing though, and I probably need to be more careful, at least manage my time, because there are other things I would like to do. And sometimes you can do too much of one thing at one time, and it can consume you too much.
Get burned out.
Yeah, you get burnt out, or you just need a break, or just And the thing with a lot of the shows that I like or try to tune in when I see them, it's always after the fact. Like I would, if this was a typical Thursday night, I'd be at work right now. I know when Michael was on, I jumped in there for a little bit, and then I had to disappear, as I couldn't come back. And I don't, like I said, I don't get off from McKee down there till it's 12:30. So time I roll, it's about 1:30, 1 a.m. in the morning.
Well, and I tell you, I'm familiar with McKee because when I used to live in Cleveland and worked in Chattanooga, one of our printers that we used was their I'm trying to remember, the College Press was the one that we used. And so they were in Collegedale, and McKee's, I don't know if it's a division or if that's the headquarters.
That's the headquarters in Collegedale.
Okay. Yeah.
We have 4 plants across the country. One in
Okay.
Arkansas, one in Arizona, and in Tennessee, Collegedale. And then, of course, Stuart Straft here, Virginia. I've been with the company about 23 years now, 24 years.
Oh.
Maintenance. Get dirty a lot into flour, sugar.
Yep. They've got the playgrounds down there. That's all the little Debbie things.
Yep.
And it's a cool little community. I didn't realize that they had plants located all over.
It's a good company to work for. It is.
I've heard that.
I enjoy my work. I enjoy the work partner I work with. It's just me and another guy, and we're pretty much unsupervised to do our work and complete our work orders, and we do. We've been together about 12 years. We're the best of friends there and outside of there here as well. And
I love that. I love that.
The only thing with it is the cakes and the snacks now. You gotta lay off of those. They make me fat.
I was going to ask if that's one of the benefits there of.
Oh yeah, you get as many free.
Oh my gosh!
As you want, and you go to break, and they're all around you, all around.
Oh, that's dangerous.
It is. It is.
That is so dangerous because we would go to the outlets there. They would have the little Debbie outlets there, and my mom, when I would come into town, she would be like, "Now don't forget to stop at the little Debbie outlet."
Oh yeah, Yeah, and I like I said, been there 24 years and stuff. And sometimes, when we work with equipment or we'll be doing something, especially when it's hot and you're in a hot area, and that stuff gets airborne like flour or sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar, if you're sweating, I just feel
Oh.
like a candy cane the rest of the I hate it's sticky.
Now, does the plant have any activity in it?
That's a good question. I have had people come up to me, and there have been some people that work there that have passed, and they'll swear in a certain area that they felt like so and so, or he did something, or one girl felt like she'd been patted on the behind, and she was mentioned this guy's name, and I'm like, well, of course the McKees, they're 7-Day Adventists.
Yep.
Yeah, they're because I had actually, when I went back there, I actually worked there 2 stints. I was there.
Okay.
Here's the first time. Disappeared for about 5, and then I went back. And then when I went back, they pretty much known by then that I was in the public eye with the ghost tours and whatnot. And we talked about that. And they seemed interested, but it's not anything we'd go too far with.
I understand. I
get it. I understand. I respect that. That's fine.
Yeah, I always like to ask, especially when people are working in facilities like that, where maybe they're in there alone or with very few people. And it's amazing the factories that people have stories about. I've worked in, I guess it's been in 3 factory settings. I've been on the corporate side of it and the marketing, but in 2 of the jobs, my office was up. It had a window overlooking the plant. And so I would actually walk through the plant to get to my office on these 2 particular jobs I had. And a lot of the time I worked hours that maybe the plant was closed. And so when I would walk through there, you would hear noises, and people knew I was into ghost hunting. And so then they would call me aside and they're like, "You do know that the plant's haunted?" And it's like, really?
Yeah.
And I remember one particular Saturday that I was working when I worked for Olin Mills, and I had gone down, and there was no one else there that day. And so I had used the bathroom down in the plant area, and I went down, and a door slammed out. I mean, it was dark in the plant.
Yeah.
The door slamming. It's like, okay, I want to go and investigate now, but instead, I guess I need to go back up and finish working.
Well, you talk about personal attachments with things and people in their lives and stuff, and that might have been something for them. That was the event of their life, and to kind of resonate with that and still be in that location. Yeah, I believe it, and we do. I've had several stories from people down there, and then of course, it kind of gets out of what you do, and then there's the I guess. I don't want to call it celebrity status, but people really interact with you. And I know now when it's like when I go to the dentist or something, it's they're asking you all kind of stuff, and I got my mouth wide open,
and probably doing the ghost walks too. Everybody knows.
Where are you going? What's going off the tours? Can we get into DJ Arnett? And on and on. And then it was just a couple of years ago, my urologist scheduled a private tour when I was in there with him. Okay, we can do business. I'll look it, buddy. So he did. He treated his entire staff.
That's awesome.
Tour. They loved it. But yeah, it's fun. It's so many different people and interesting people you meet. It's so much. And
absolutely.
Everybody enjoy it and have a good time.
Absolutely. So, if people want to book a tour, is this something that they can walk up on, or are reservations encouraged or required?
Well, when we get into September and October, we of course we do tickets online through Eventbrite, and in Afton Tickets, you can get tickets online. If you wanted to avoid the surcharges that they put on you, you could do a walk-on. It might be best to call ahead though, because like I said, we have to keep the groups at a fairly respectable number. It's nothing for me too, especially when we get into busy season, where if we have like a Saturday or Friday night and our tours, maybe whether we have 3 or 4 and they're stacked, I can literally and will literally create something within minutes to put an extra add one, whether it be a late tour or an early tour, to try to, especially the closer we get to Halloween, to accommodate everybody to be able to do a tour. I hate to turn anybody down or away. So we do whatever we can. We have a lot of requests, and we put that up on our website for private tours. It is very difficult, tricky in October, just because of that power that we have. And just with our tours, the groups. Generally, the biggest tour we've ever had actually downtown was about 60 people.
Wow.
I don't like to do that, but we did that. That was the weekend before Halloween. That was downtown. And then when we were doing tours on the grounds of D. Jarnett, I haven't talked too much about D. Jarnett Sanatorium, but that was an extension of Western State. It's named after Dr. Joseph D. Jarnett, who was a big proponent of eugenics. He started a big program here. He actually had a dialogue with Hitler. He was infatuated.
Wow.
But anyways, we were able to do tours on the grounds for a period of about 4 years. We couldn't take people inside the buildings because of asbestos in areas that weren't structurally sound. So it was dangerous. But we would do tours on the grounds, and literally every tour, they would have us, the ownership would have us do one tour in October every Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. It's pretty hard to do a ghost tour in broad daylight, but that's what we would do. And we would lead the groups up to the front of the buildings. And what I would do, the steps that would lead up, I would put him up on the tour guide up on the steps with a microphone. And you had this lot that expanded out so the group could expand out, take pictures, and get the information. The last year we did tours there every Saturday. We had over 100 people. The last tour we did there was 175 people.
Wow.
And we were able to manage that quite again because we were going to walk them up to the buildings. It expanded, the lot expanded out. And I could put him up basically on a stage. And so this is where it went astray, though, because once we got into the public eye and the media was covering us and everything, the down part of it is the break-ins, the vandalism went off the charts. So they said, we've had enough of it. And they actually have security cameras there now still on the property. You know, there's all kind of people here on YouTube. They'll put stuff up. Hey, I was in such and such. And we would warn them back then when we did the tours back, that was in 2014. Back then it was a $500 fine. Now it's $2,500 if you're caught on the property.
Wow.
And the mayor, who actually was part of the ownership of it, the former mayor of Staunton, told me there was a guy in there, believe it or not, there was a homeless person in there living that actually had access to a cell phone that was giving tours and making money. And they caught him and pulled him out of there. But yeah, it's one of those things just because of the history with it, you know, with the eugenics program. But to be honest with you, the history with it, as far as when we dig into it, it's not as bad or terrible as something, say, like Pennhurst.
Sure.
You know, where you had blatant abuse. That didn't exist at Western State and D. Jarnett that we know of. You know, of course, the treatments from back in that time were primitive. And of course, you had the thing with the whole eugenics thing, but nothing like Pennhurst or anything like that. But again, you post anything with that on social media or anything, or they see, you know, we're on a television, whether local news covers us or whatnot, and everything explodes.
That's what we run into kind of with rugby. Is it's not so bad at the jail because obviously we're a stone building with bars on the windows, so there's not a lot of breaking in there on that. And I don't want to put that out in the universe and jinx that, but with rugby, that's a big concern that we have. And then also one of the reasons that we were brought in for the Village of Rugby, because it is a living village, and you do have, it's the combination of the history of the village and then the people who live there now. So one of the things that we combat and that they work with at the village is trying to make sure that people are doing sanctioned investigations. And the more, you know, people were doing unsanctioned investigations before they partnered with us to do all the After Dark programming. But they partnered with us in part to kind of wrangle that in, because you would have people that would be roaming the grounds, and it was kind of virtually unheard of. It wasn't unknown, but it wasn't as common. And so now it's like the more the word gets out there about historic rugby, the more apt you are at times for people to start doing unsanctioned.
It can increase. And we found that out in Jarnett. I know the last year we did tours there just the week of Halloween, leading up to Halloween. They caught 13 people just that week at different times, different intervals. There was a total up to 13. And
are they doing anything in the building? Sorry to interrupt. Are they doing anything in there with it, or is it just?
Yeah, it's an eyesore. They've been trying to sell it. There have been 7 bids on it since 1996, and all of it fallen through. I think one of the things with it, the enormous cost it would take to close it down or tear it down. And we had heard a shopping mall was going to go in there at one time, and then that never happened. And somebody had told me not too long ago about a hotel or B&B, but I can't see that happening either, just because there've been so many things with it. It's a very controversial subject here in town. There are some people, I'm a history guy, so I don't believe in erasing history. You know, I think we should learn from it, but and then there's other people they want it gone. They want to erase it. And one of our tour guides, actually Dave Sims, which he'd be an interesting guest for you in the future. He's got a book out on Western State Lunatic Asylum. You can find it on Amazon. It's called Fear the Reaper, and he does that dark tour for us. And so he talks a lot about some of the research he's done on there, and of course his book with it. But we were able to do tours there for about 4 going on 5 years, and that's what eventually ended it. And it's one of the things in the field that I do despise is people that won't go by the rules, or or trespass and stuff like that, make things worse for the people who do try to do it the right way. And my mindset's always been, if we inquire about a location, and I'm never shy to ask. It never hurts to ask. The worst you can do is be told no.
That's right.
But when I get a no, all right, that's fine. I understand. I move on to something else. Now, I understand it and I respect it. But there's a lot of people who don't. And I still get, if I am alerted to anybody that I think is going to be up there, I notify the ownership of it.
Good. Good.
You got somebody that's planning. I've had somebody, I still get messages here and there like, why don't you do tours in there now? Like, you don't get it. You can't. They don't want you up there. They don't want anybody up there. And I've had several television shows call me because it came on their radar and they were interested. One of them was Destination Fear, and then the other was a ghost asylum with Tennessee Wraith Chasers. They wanted to, and I gave them the information who to contact, and I wished them luck, the best of luck. I knew really they had none, because I had offered them the same. I offered them $1,000. Let me go in there and take my seat and investigate it. No.
Yeah. Well, you have to respect that, because most of the time there's, and I'll say probably 95% of the time, there's good reason why someone would say no, because a lot of these places could make good money opening up to allow people in. And I say that when I say good money, I mean it's obviously really just paying the bills, because it's nothing to get rich off of. But as far as people coming in, people will pay to come into places like that, especially with such a history that they have.
It's such. He couldn't. He said, people really want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, they really do. We do. I mean, we all over the country. And I said, but when we were talking about it, I said too, it's one of those things, and I explained the pros and cons with it. And it's something like that you would want to. First, my goal was to secure the buildings and make sure that they're clear, that there's nobody in there. There's homeless people that go in there. There's vagrants and stuff. I said, you got to eliminate that, and to go in to do a thorough investigation and see what we could come out of there with. And he was somewhat intrigued, but again, the downside of it is, when stuff leaks out or gets out, the enormous amount of people. And even though I still will post some things in regards to what we did there in the past, it will get responses on Facebook, and there's all of a sudden you'll see people posting conversations between themselves like road trip, go for it, buddy. $500, because they have cameras all over the place. And the mayor had actually told me too, one of the things they had done with the entrance and the doorway there, the entrance and exits kind of together, they had placed what looks like 2 big mounds of dirt to block that. He told me that wasn't dirt, that was manure, and there was people still digging through it to get in there. I'm like, I made
people are nuts.
I said, no shit. And he said, no. He said, shit.
Wow. No, it's true. And especially I can only imagine with the history that place has, because I've heard, because I know several people that live in the area that have gone up there before, just being around there. And this has been quite some time back. And they've said the minute they go up there, there's somebody, you better be ready. There'll be a car that. I know, or though usually a lot of times, because the Frontier Culture Museum here in town, they're the ones that own it just down from it. So if you're up there on property, you're going to see a little golf cart come up there. And the funny thing about it, when we were doing tours there, some of their employees would come up there with their golf cart, and they would come up there and they were like, hey, do you want to go inside? I'll show you around. And I was like, I appreciate that, but no, because I have too much to lose, and I don't want John Avoli getting mad at me and not doing it. Tours. I'm not messing with it. As much as I would love to see it, and it is on my bucket list. I have a bucket list. That's at the top. That and Alcatraz. I do want to see Alcatraz, but I never went in there. Never went to buildings. But we dealt with that for 4 years with people in and out, posting stuff like that, and eventually they just it's not worth it. We don't want to mess with it. That's sad.
It is. It's very sad, and that's kind of for me personally one of the downsides of the field and stuff. with people that just take and do anything and everything they please.
Hidden treasures honestly don't stay hidden very long,
No, but
especially.
it was kind of one of those things too, kind of like we attributed to that somewhat, with, it wouldn't have come to the public eye if it had been for us. And so,
Yeah.
Which is
Well,
unfortunate.
that's true. That's true. But I love what you're doing, and I highly encourage folks over there in the chat room. It sounds like there's a lot of people who already know you and already follow your stuff. But if you don't, guys, definitely go and check out the page here, Ghosts of Staunton. They do have a Facebook page. We've got that on the show notes there. We've also got the website. I love how the website there has links to really many different resources. So if you're in the Staunton area there in Virginia, definitely go check them out on one of their tours. If you're not in the area, head up that way and take them up on one of their tours. Follow their content on their paranormal page because, we say this every week. We love our content creators, and so much work goes into the efforts that they put into this. And so just sharing it out, liking, supporting, that really goes a long way. And they've even got their merchandise shop on there, so the support really helps. So
Yeah, we do.
Go check them out.
Thank everybody for the interest and support and just checking us out. And one of the things with our tours, we do, like I said, you have to be creative with it. So if there's going to be a Friday the 13th, you can bet we're going to be doing ghost tours. There's a full moon, we're going to be doing a ghost tour.
I love it.
But yeah, we want to have anybody and everybody come see us, and it's a lot of fun. It is.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Marty. Thank you so much for again taking the time tonight to come on, share your EVPs with us, share your website, and hopefully I'll be seeing y'all soon on a tour up there.
Oh, we would love to have you. We would love to have everybody come see us.
Yes, absolutely. And guys, stay tuned for next week. I've got Miss Candy Thompson on. She is a wonderful content creator, and I had the pleasure of meeting her when she investigated the jail. She did a collaboration investigation with the guys from Wrestling with Ghosts, and caught some really cool evidence at the jail. But that's not the only place she's been. She travels all over, and I got to say, I'm definitely partial to my content creators, especially my female ones out there doing their thing. So you're going to definitely want to tune in next Thursday night, because this girl, she does her editing here and she puts out some great stuff. So if I don't see you guys before on one of our tours this weekend, again, we do have a couple available this weekend here with at the historic Scott County Jail and historic Rugby. Hopefully you'll come by, check us out, see us in person, listen to some of our stories, experience these two great locations for yourself. But if not, we'll definitely see you next Thursday night. So take care, everyone.
Thank you.